Greetings, greetings, welcome. Come on in, come on in. All is a blessing. All is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, welcome, welcome. Come one, come all. Come on in. My psychics, my readers, my healers, my witches. Come on in, come on in. Ianifa, Babalawo, Hogans, Mambos, come on in, come on in. All is a blessing, all is a blessing. Welcome, all is indeed a blessing. Greetings and salutations. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, the Enchantress. Come on in, beloved. I got food for you. Oh, it's not that physical food, no, but it's that spiritual food, yes. Yahuru Waku, Jumbo, Kedu, Babo Ni, yes. Imwa Lelepo, come on in, yes, come on in. Maruapo, come on in. Greetings, greetings, come on in. All is a blessing, yes. Da 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 da. Yes, greetings, greetings. Come on in. I'm gonna hit it and quit it. I got a schedule. I got things to do. I got appointments. Come on in. Oh, I know you're in your feelings, witches. Come on in. Come on in. Yes, come on in. All is a blessing. Greetings, greetings. Ashe, oh, Ashe. Out of bondage and now I am free. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da. Da da da. Greetings, greetings. Come on in. All is a blessing. SU uses truth to own you. He calls the scattered to feed poverty. Obatala shakes rascals to have sacrifice. All is a blessing. All is a blessing. Greetings, greetings and salutations. Come on in. Come on in. Nothing to fear here but the truth. Welcome Blog Talk Radio. Welcome YouTube. Welcome Twitter. Welcome Periscope. Welcome Instagram. Come on in. Come on in. Oh, we all have an opinion, but truth is universal. Come on in. Come on in. Greetings, Ghana. Greetings, Nigeria. Greetings, Cameroon. Greetings and salutations, South Africa. Welcome, Kenya. Welcome, Ethiopia. That's a new one, Ethiopia. Welcome, Yemen. I'm usually blocked in Ethiopia. Welcome, Egypt. Come on in. Come on in. Morocco, come on in. Come on in. Welcome. Welcome, India. Come on in. Pakistan, come on in. Welcome, welcome. Eshua Legwana, Ko Siwere, Awu Onlo Uto Ni Iwo, Ada Afanbo Osi, Obatala Mi Ita Ni Ibo, Onilio Aban Eshu. Eshu is the respected elder who flogs, confronts, and uncovers fools. The one versed in truth uses mysteries. The one versed in mysteries uses truth to own you. He causes scatter to feed poverty. Obatala shakes rascals to have sacrifice. The owner of warnings is the one who is Eshu, Aboru, Aboye, Aboshishe, Ashe. May our Ebo reach our room. May our Ebo be accepted. May our Ebo allow what we desire to come to pass. And so we say, Ashe, oh Ashe. Divine, all blessed, peace and love, joy and prosperity, elevation, revelations, and manifestation. You are now sitting live with the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elagun, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeah, Bokor, sharing with you in all things mystical, spiritual, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, holistic, from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective, understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is indeed my constant prayer, my mantra, my affirmation, my reverberation and reiteration, and it's critical to my ever-living reality. It is the very foundation. It is a place from where I begin and end. My starting point, my inner standing point, all is truly and indeed a blessing. It is crucial to my inner standing, my teaching, my walk, my work, my demonstration, my divine, all blessed life path and journey. And it is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense out of all that we're challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother, Father, Earth. It is the place of my beginning, the place from where I realized and crystallized all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co-create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co-create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe. I am literally bursting at the seams today, this Thursday, August 20th, 2020. And I am emanating and vibrating with you and for you live, virtually, verbally, cosmically, quantum universally from this working temple of the house of the Divine Prince. Thai Potions, Hoodoo Central, in this legendary, historic, beautiful, and most enchanted city in America, New Orleans, Louisiana, the land of my ancestors and those who came before me along this Hoodoo, Obeah life path and journey, passing down the great Obeah stick along with the knowledge of the life-giving herbs, roots, plants, rituals, spirits, minerals, indeed the legacy, the culture, the practices, the traditions, the history, our sacred stories, And please do visit my partner, the beloved Denise Augustine, to schedule and arrange your pre-scheduled RSVP tours plus experience at www.oursacredstories.com. Please don't just show up at my door and start knocking and ringing the bell. Visit Denise at www.oursacredstories.com. And of course, you can always visit my website at www.houseofthedivineprince.com. I'm bursting at the seams. I have so much I want to say, so much I want to share with you today. I want to be mindful that my listen-in and call-in number is open at area code 845-277-9143, 845-277-9143. Please be patient with me. I am only human. I'm only one individual. Allow me the opportunity to respond to your pressing the number one on your telephone keypad. This will allow me to open your mic and bring you into the conversation. And I will, of course, accept your question, comments, and request. I'm pressed for time. I have a very important engagement today. Greetings from the UK. Greetings. I'm pressed for time, and I have so much I want to say, so much I want to share, so much I want to respond to, so much that might need to be, again, restated, re-clarified. And so all is a blessing. All is a blessing. Whatever it is, it got a response from you. Whatever it is, it's in your crawl. So whatever it is, all is a blessing. Um, I want to say so many things today. Again, and it's implicit in the title. Voodoo indeed is not witchcraft, as we talked about on our last episode, and it is indeed stronger than any perceived form of witchcraft. If that weren't the case, you'd have your man back. You'd have that lottery in your bank account. I would not be here for an all of your mixing up and screwing up and witching up. The truth stands. The truth stands. And if it isn't already obvious, let me state what should be obvious. I'm not here for popularity. This ain't a popularity contest. If so, I would be buying followers and likes like many of your most popular followed individuals in social media. I would indeed be posting foolishness like many of your most beloved individuals in social media. But that's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm here. This is about the truth, about the secrets of this revolutionary hoodoo, New Orleans voodoo secrets and recipes. It's about restoring what's right about ATR, about traditional African-based religious systems, and not warring with what's wrong, but establishing a clear line, a clear line. There are many in this space and in the multi-universes that interconnect with this space who are seeking truth, who are seeking justice, who are seeking health, wellness, and well-being from the inside out, not from the outside in, because you can paint it up to look like whatever you want it to look like, beloved. Call it a Halloween costume, call it a tablecloth, call it my sacred garments, whatever it is, it got you here. Respect the voodoo. This voodoo is real. And again, I say, this ain't about popularity. This ain't about popularity. How many of your popularized figures are manifesting documentaries? How many of your popularized figures are operating in the academic realms of our society, of our culture, of our tradition? How many of your popularized figures in witchdom are establishing anything that will survive beyond their 15 minutes of fame, beyond this most present moment in time space? And indeed, half of what ATR is, call it voodoo, call it lukumi, call it santeria, call it candomblé, half of what this is ancestral worship and honor. So it's real difficult to start mixing up witchery with their ancestors. We don't wake up our ancestors for foolishness. We don't wake up our ancestors to tell us the time, to give us the weather, you know, to check in on our frenemies. That's not what this is. And indeed, if that's what you desire, that's what you seek, go enjoy the witch broadcast. I'm sure there's some out there somewhere. Go enjoy the witch broadcast. This ain't Witch School 101. This is ATR 101. This is Voodoo 101. This is Ifa 101. This is cultural, ethno, religio, magic 101 from a position of truth. From a position of truth. I give credit. I give respect. I give honor to artistry, creativity, entertainment, for which indeed I am a part of. I am honored to have a SAG card. I'm honored to have a SAG number. I'm honored every time I'm asked to delve into the realm of imagination and creativity and entertainment and horror and comedy. But that's not what this is. That might be who you are, but that's not what this is. That's not what this demonstration is. So yeah, I know I got some witches upset. I know I got some possessors of yoni eggs that are really, really worked up right now. But that ain't voodoo. It's not indigenous. Some would suggest it's not even safe. It's not even clean, you know. And if you are not prepared to study all the intricate details of mineralogy and crystallology and the presence of other minerals, sometimes poisons that can be present in your yoni eggs, then you absolutely have no business tucking it anywhere, let alone your most intimate parts. That's that Orisha romance. That's that witchery that gets stuck in my craw. That's the stuff that you all confuse with what's legitimate in the demonstration of these practices and these traditions. I'm working on a real deep book right now. Me and my mystery assistant, real deep. And my mystery assistant has happened to go through intense master degree, university level study just to make sense of this. And I give that individual kudos because they're not striving to initiate. They're not striving to gain some position, some title in this practice, in this walk. They just want to understand it. And they're so self-motivated. They're so willing to do the work. And in doing so, they're bringing back stuff that some of you who've spent $20,000 going to Oshogo and coming back still don't have an understanding of, still aren't even aware of. And it shows up as the Orisha romance. So that's why we have to talk about witchcraft on this show. That's why and how witchcraft even came into the conversation, because some of you are still believing the white supremacist Christian Islamic demonstration of their interpretation of what this is. And this ain't it. This ain't it. I take great pride in Frog and Princess, but that ain't voodoo. I take great pride in American Horror Story and Coven, you know, season 3, episode 3, in which I'm featured prominently in. But it ain't voodoo. It's entertainment. It's television. And within that realm, you're allowed to delve into imagination. Now, I know there are deep thinkers in the room, and we can find the hidden truths and we can find veiled mysteries. But in the present world weather, people can also allow their creative imaginations to interject things into the picture that aren't real in this dimensional time space. They might be real in another realm of dimension, but not in this one that you and I have to operate in each and every day authentically. It's one thing to be an Instagram witch. It's another thing to be a YouTube witch, but you're not being featured. You're not being put in a position to teach authentic tradition, practice, history as it relates to these traditions. And without culture, which includes ethnicity, which includes a little history and archaeology and many other divisions of science and understanding, you're just delving in creative imagination. You're just delving in creative imagination. Advertisers use creative imagination to sell you over 100 different types, brands, flavors, varieties of toothpaste when all you really want to do is clean your mouth in the morning and have healthy teeth. But you got over 100 different choices. And what separates one choice from the other? Is it indeed that this brand is miraculous and this brand is not? Or is it the color of the packaging? Is it the slant of the advertising? Is it the targeted audience, whether it be young or old, black or white, rich or poor, all the isms and schisms that keep us divided, that keep us confused, that are a distraction from what real truth is. Let's get down to ethnicity and DNA and bloodline and lineage if y'all want to talk about racism and race. Many are purporting to be one thing or another, and you are something else. Okay, you have gotten away with the pass on life, the passing as life, but many of us are not ready to do the real hard work. And I'm grateful. Listen, I'm grateful. I know that some of you are intrigued. Some of you find your way here. You're curious. Some of you want to know what's going on in this room. But I'm even more grateful for those who stay, who stick around, who have some duration in this space, who acknowledge the value of this truth. I'm not going to pour any amount of water on the truth. Not here, not now, not before, not after. It's never been me, never will be me. It don't even mix into my wiring. I'm going to keep it 100, no matter how unpopular 100 might be. I'm going to keep it 100, no matter how conflicting that might be with the pop cultural favorites of the day. That'll pass. That'll pass. Every decade, you learn that certain things pass. Certain trends fall off. What was the hottest thing in the 70s ain't so hot anymore. Or it has now evolved into something else. All things have to evolve if they're alive, if they're living, if they're empowered. All things have to evolve. All things have to grow. All things have to expand. All things have to change. All things have to transform. And so our idea of linear time, straight line time, our idea of permanence, all an illusion. It's all an illusion, but the most permanent thing that we know are the Great Pyramids. But for the most part, everything has degraded, transformed, been revived, been renewed, been replenished. And so too should your knowledge, so too should be your wisdom. And some of us with a little time behind us, we've seen the evolution. I've seen it just in social media. I seen what we were interested in 2005 when I first popped up on MySpace and Yahoo 360, and I've watched the trend. I've watched the trend from my perspective: religion, spirituality, ATR. I'm not always this vocal. I'm not always this active. Sometimes I'm just there and I'm quiet and I'm observing and I'm taking in your demonstration. Some of you believe you can be spiritual here and then somehow be something else in Twitter. And we try and, you block your accounts and you put your privacy locks on and you try to play around with your names and your identities. But truth leaks no matter what. Truth is going to seep through no matter what. The realities will stand up in demonstration no matter what. Feelings pass. Emotions, temporary. Trends, fads, temporary. This truth has endured for over a decade. This truth remains relevant. Even in 2021, it'll still be relevant. Even 2040, it'll still be relevant. My prayer, my hope, my goal is that it'll be even more relevant, and that your children and your grandchildren and your great-great-grandchildren won't be running to the old institutions of wisdom and understanding, but will be standing up in something that's already standing up in you. It's already present in your DNA. First, ancestral memory. Oh, some people find it a little bit, I don't know, sacrilegious when I say that your ancestors is there first. If God indeed created us and created all life and put the blood in there, your ancestors are in the blood, power in the blood. Your ancestors are already there first, even before the rest of your reptilian body is formed in that embryonic sac. Your ancestors are already there. The blood, one of the first things that you begin to take on, you begin to receive. So your ancestors are present, are evident. The fact that you aren't aware, the fact that you don't commune with them, the fact that you don't interact with them doesn't make it less real any more than it makes your God less real. They stand up in every moment, every day, every opportunity. That's voodoo. That's ATR. That's not witchcraft. Once you introduce ego into the equation, you've stepped into witchcraft. Once you've moved beyond nature, without voodoo without nature, there's no voodoo. There's no voodoo without nature. Okay. So once you interject ego and your personal will into the equation, now you're talking about witchcraft. Once you transcend the communal interest, the interest of the village, the interest of the family, the interest of that a colony, if you will, you're entering into the realm of ego. You've lowered that kundalini down to those lower octaves in your chakra center. And now you're drawing empowerment from your lower coordinaries, not your higher octaves. So again, I say voodoo is more powerful than any contrived voodoo, any kind. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. And some of you are doing your best. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Otherwise, they wouldn't call me. Otherwise, they wouldn't seek me out. And still I rise. Indeed, and still I rise. Forgive me, I don't often look at my switchboard quite often enough. But indeed, if you have a question, comment, or request in the short amount of time that I have with you today, do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. I will be more than happy to unmute your mic and bring you into the conversation. Greetings, everyone, one and all. Thank you so much for your love, your support, your presence. Oh, the key word is authentic, for sure. And for your continued motivation, for giving me the reason and the platform to do what I do and to bring what I bring here. One of the things I do like about this space is I'm the producer, I'm the director, I'm the writer. I can indeed operate just in my lane, which is voodoo, just in my lane, which is ATR. Commercialism is a little bit more stressful, you know, being present to perform, to demonstrate, you know, often for a paycheck or for a bigger, you know, commercial enterprise. And it's someone else's vision. It's someone else's dream that we support, that we help to elevate. Any of you who have a job, who get paid to do something, you are supporting someone else's dream, someone else's vision. Whether it's the people, whether you work for the government or whether you work for a private enterprise, you're there to be a successful, contributing participant in the development, the growing, the moving forward of a much bigger plan than just your own. So I appreciate what podcasts and Blog Talk Radio and StreamYard and YouTube allow us in terms of being truly organic, you know, and authentic to what we choose to say. And some of us use that wisely. Some of us use that with a great deal of responsibility. Others, you're wasting your space. You're wasting your space and you're laying down a footprint that your coming ancestors will surely tap into, just like we're now tapping into the great Akhenaten and Nefertiti and Yoruba culture and Ile Ife. Indeed, 500 years from now, that they'll be looking at you. They'll be looking at us. And this is a great segue into the political moment of the day. It's all about what you do right now. Seriously, I am so in agreement with the idea that unlike any other time in history, each voice absolutely matters. Absolutely matters. Each life absolutely matters. Absolutely matters. And whether your life is given, a sort of greater meaning, in martyrdom, which is unfortunate, or whether you choose to embrace the greater meaning while you're alive and while you're conscious and while you're able to make a choice, that within itself is magic. That within itself is the voodoo of which we all live and operate in each and every day. I choose to feed what's positive. I choose to feed what's helpful. I choose to feed what grows. I choose to feed what expands. I choose to feed what has some longevity, as opposed to feeding carnality, as opposed to feeding what's temporary and temporal and just a spell. One of my least favorite words in the magical lexicon, spell, which also suggests something that's temporary, something that might just be a present and immediate fix, an aspirin, a Band-Aid, on something that might otherwise need to be attended to, healed, fixed, repaired, corrected. And so whether you're coming at it from Wicca, whether you're coming at it from indigenous spirituality and religion, whether you're coming at it from a more Western religious, Christian, Judaic, Islamic perspective, one is no less easier than the other. One is no less complicated than the other. And the main factor is your center of motivation, your center of power. I know some really wicked so-called Christians. I also know some really wicked so-called voodoo practitioners and Santeria practitioners and Paloists. And it doesn't in any way speak to the truth about what these traditions really are. And in no way speaks to the truth about what's authentic about the walk, about the demonstration. Listen, I'm really appreciating all the Shamafia. I'm really appreciating all the haters and the people that's upset and the people that's in their feelings. I get it. If I were you, I would hate me too. If you were operating on a such a flimsy platform to begin with, yeah, you might feel some kind of way about truth. You might feel some kind of way, about what I have to say. But it gives me a strange sense of empowerment that the haters probably don't realize. Be quiet. Be quiet. Every time you throw it up, every time you throw it out, every time you demonstrate it, I check my board. I ding. That's one more time that I hit it into the ballpark, and people are feeling some kind of way about it. And it's too many of you who are here today because of what I said yesterday, and what I will say tomorrow, and many days to come. And I stand on my truth. I've spent too many hours doing the work. I stand on my truth. I've walked this path too many decades, too many years. I stand in my truth. I know people from India. I know people from Africa. I know people from Brazil. I stand in my truth. And my truth is in my demonstration. So I hear you, Shamafia, and report him, whatever. It's cute. It's cute nonetheless. It's cute. Okay. So if you all have any questions for me, comments, requests, let me have it. Otherwise, I'm going to give you maybe 15 more minutes. I have a celebrity appointment today I've got to fulfill. So I don't have a whole lot of time. I can't do a 2-hour, 3-hour show. This might also be an opportunity for me to shout out to my sponsors. And I'm going to see if I can do this on screen. So bear with me while I try and use some new technology here. So I am grateful for Juan Lafanta. one of my faithful and long-term sponsors, Wanda Fonta. Many of you know Wanda Fonta because of the Big Frida Wanda Fonta commercial with all that bounce and booty in it. So I am appreciative and grateful for Wanda Fonta and all his support. He is a local personal injury attorney here in New Orleans, and I am indeed grateful for the support and the listenership and the love that I'm often receiving from Wanda Fonta. I'm also real grateful for my favorite coffee house. Some of you might know I'm a bit of a coffee addict. I can drink coffee 24 hours a day, all day, 7 days a week. And I greatly am appreciative of my support, my neighbor, Treme Coffee House. Many who come here to visit me for services, for readings, know that Treme Coffee House literally sits one block right behind my house. So it is my local favorite. The owners and the management is great. They are involved in community activities. They are involved in things that happen outside of just their store, just their business. So I have a great deal of love and appreciation and respect for Treme Coffee House. And so when you are visiting the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana, please do check out Treme Coffee House while you're here. And my last sponsor that I want to acknowledge today, not my only sponsor, but the last one I'm going to acknowledge today and right now is Peaches Records. Where's my Peaches Records? Peaches Records. That's their Instagram. I'm looking for their website. Peaches. Peaches is a local staple here in New Orleans for not just local artists in music and all genres of music, but also world music, global music. It is one of the few stores here that still sell physical albums, CDs, physical music as opposed to your digital music. So I'm greatly appreciative of Peaches Records on 4318 Magazine Street. I'll actually be showing up at Peaches Records at some point today. So these are my 3 chosen sponsors of the day. And I'm grateful for their continued love and support. And they're also listeners, so I appreciate that as well. And I invite you all to support them. Reverend Cheese Hungry, a discussion of what all witchcraft encompasses will be a really, really long one. No, we're talking about distinctly witchcraft. The distinction between Wicca and witchcraft, we had that discussion yesterday. And it got a little bit heated. And I made it clear that it's still not witchcraft. Wicca is not witchcraft and is indeed closer to nature practices that we find in many indigenous parts of the world. So there's a clear distinction that I've made between what witchcraft is versus what religio, magical, ethno-cultural spirit practices. When we think of the Mayan, the Aztec, the ethnic groups of China, the ethnic groups of Europe, before we get into this sort of governmental nationalism that we exist in today, you find a connection to nature. You find a connection to earth. And the spirits and powers that exist there. But when you bring ego into the question, we're then talking about witchcraft. We're then talking about you observing your humanness into the equation. Shamafia, kindness with Orisha, I need you to be a little bit more specific with that question. I'm having to moderate the trolls myself. I don't really have a moderator unless you want to do it for me. S. Marie. I don't really have a moderator. I try to see them and catch them, and when I do, I block them when I catch them. A Seraphinic Seraphim. I don't suggest people approach Orisha if they are not initiated. I really don't. Again, that is a product of westernized thinking, which is an extension of colonizing. The right to colonize the world, the right to take over your land, your people, your culture, your practice, your natural output, and then put my stamp on it, either for personal gain, commercial gain, or even dominance. And so I don't suggest it any more than I suggest people, claiming to operate in Nordic traditions or Celtic traditions, who have no knowledge of it, who aren't connected to it, who have no ancestral presence in it. And so we, in a modern context, seek to remove ethnicity, seek to remove culture, seek to remove archaeology and history to some degree when we start delving into the realm of belief and preference. Because in the Western world, we believe it's our preference to choose. It's my preference to choose what part of the Bible I will acknowledge. It's my preference to choose whether I'm going to acknowledge Christianity or at all. It's my preference to choose whether I'm Islamic or Christian. It's my preference to choose whether I'm Democratic, or Republican. But when we look at ethno-cultural, religio-magical tradition, you got to start with, where are you born? And who are you born of? And so when we look at metropolises like ancient Egypt, like the UK, like America, and we start seeing sort of this melting pot, as we try and describe it, of culture and tradition and ethnicity, someone is always dominant. Some system is always dominant. Some language is always dominant. So for example, much of the world speak English. Nigeria's national language is English, though you have 200 ethnic groups and ethnic languages being spoken within the boundaries of that one country. So when we try and approach Orisha or any deified system within an ethno-cultural tradition, there's a degree of appropriation that happens. Whether you agree or not, or you're conscious of it or not, or you're attempting to do so or not, there is a degree of appropriation that happens. And then once you are conscious of it, then there's a greater degree of bastardization that happens. Well, let's borrow from that. Me and my sister was talking about that earlier, and we were looking at various non-African demonstrations of that form of appropriation. And one of the first that came to our mind was yoga. Just think about how popularized yoga is, and particularly in places of the country like California. But yoga is now mainstream. Yoga is now everywhere, if you will. But how many of people who practice yoga understand what a mantra is, what a Veda is, even have some understanding of the cultural, ethno, history, archaeological background that supports yoga? So it is the Western culture that takes bits and pieces out and extracts bits and pieces out for our own needs, for our own gain, for our own capitalism, for our own commercialism, for popularity, if you will. And in some ways, we see that being removed. We get upset when we see blackface. We get upset when people start feigning accents, Asiatic accents or Middle Eastern accents, or Hispanic accents. And there's that racial negative prejudice. Once upon a time, that was on TV every day. In today's political correctness, we don't do that anymore. We don't make certain references anymore. but when it comes down to the dollar and commercialism, because it's often about the dollar and commercialism, to be quite honest. If it were just as organic as I'm finding my way, I'm finding myself in what's present and what's available to me in the world, we see that show up as a very different form of demonstration. And so we are then hard pressed to say appropriation, bastardization. The student, the true student who's researching, who's studying, who's making an attempt to better understand, the archaeologist who goes in with the understanding that we're trying to make a better sense of a particular person, place, culture, cannot go in with certain prejudices, can't go in with certain preconceived ideas and notions. In the past, it has tainted many of our books. It has tainted many of our textbooks. It has tainted many of our institutions of learning. I remember a time when everything was deeply racial in textbooks in school. You had the red man, the yellow man, the black man, the white man. And it was overtly racial in 1960s and 1970s. We shed that. We shed that over time. But when we start looking at modern ideas of New Age, witchcraft, modern ideas of spirituality, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I hear that a lot. And often when I hear that, I'm hearing, you know, I'm beyond rules. I'm beyond protocols. You know, I suffered, if you will. And that's not freeing. That's not liberating. So there is no form of witchcraft that can stand up to real, grounded, authentic, indigenous world practice and tradition. When we remove self out of it, when we take the ego out of it and the personalities out of it and the supposed competition out of it. I don't know what's going on here with my chat. Okay, I got it. Matthew Ferguson, let's be specific. And if you can come on screen, that would be great. Yes, there are indeed many magical practices in the Senegambia that have Islamic presence. But if you understand the history, so does Yoruba. So too does Voodoo. Alafia is not a organically Yoruba word. And many suggest that it has an Arabic root to it. We also look at the roots of what we now coin as voodoo and look at the trade routes from the black and the brown peoples from East Africa, Meroe, Ethiopia, Abyssinia, Egypt, Nubia, you know, and then the trade routes across Northern Africa to Northwestern Africa. And when we look at ethnic specific generational stories, what do you call them? Creation stories, meaning the Yoruba, the Igbo, the Hausa, the Fan, many of them speak of ancestors that crossed from the east into the west. So there are indeed very Islamic footprints within Voodoo, within ATR, and not just in the Senegambia. Experts would say that even the systems of divination that we have come to understand and utilize, that 16 binary coded divination system that we utilize, also indeed has an Arabic footprint within it. I know that makes some of y'all uncomfortable, but understand history and the movements of humanity and the movements of culture and tradition over time. Nothing is isolated and exists in a monolith. Even our societies that exist on island nations, we are now beginning to understand. You know, Easter Island began somewhere else, and those people found their way to Easter Island. So these traditions have mixed and have shared. People have married into families, have married into other cultures, have married into other practices, and certain things become habits, certain things become uh, built in, and we lose sight of, we lose connection to why and how. Aj Iyami. First of all, Aj is separate from Iyami, Mr. Rodriguez. Aj, and it's really hard to sort of force some of these indigenous words into modern English uses, but we say luck when we think about Aj. You might say the blessing or the anointing if we say Aj. But Iyami is the power of women. The usage of Iyami, or the sacred power of women to do bad things, to do negative things, is where the idea of witch comes from. Is where the idea of witch in the African ATR Yoruba perspective, where the idea of witch comes from. Iyami does not instantly translate to witch. That within itself is a English Western domination definition. I like to describe it as, have you ever seen a baby being born? You're not looking at witchcraft, Mr. Rodriguez, you're looking at divine magic. So witch is a very Eurocentric, Christianized, Islamicized word, even within itself. And you see that now in Yoruba culture, you see that now in West African culture, because of the footprint of Christianity and evangelical Christianity in particularly, as it has made its way as colonizers into the world. But it is not a direct translation. The two aren't synonymous, witch and Iyami. And in its most appropriate demonstration, it is when a woman or even a man is said to use the power. Greetings, Mom. Greetings, Queen Mother. The power of women, or the power of nature, to do the very ego-based, carnal-based, lower chakra point-based stuff that I'm suggesting. That's when it becomes witchcraft. So in nature, there is no ego in nature. A plant doesn't have racism, doesn't have prejudice, doesn't have bias, doesn't have greed. A tree doesn't possess humanized, lower humanized emotional ranges, you know, of feeling and emotion. We like to project. I'm trying to do so, neophyte Vokur, but for some reason right now, I can't, and I'm not understanding exactly why. It's something I'm not doing or not seeing. I don't know. I'm not understanding why right now, but I'll fix it. At some point, I'll fix it. Yeah, so witch has never been a good word, a positive word in any indigenous culture. And it is only in present modern day culture where we have attempted to sort of beautify and give a popular, pretty face to things that would otherwise really be dark and ugly in reality. Greetings, greetings, Terica Hyder. Thank you so much, beloved. I do my best considering. This is a very dangerous space for me to be in energetically. And I do my best to stay light and not to demonstrate darkness. Yes, Black Cotton, people love to ignore the history. Most won't even acknowledge the Nago culture before the induction of Orunmila. I like how you said that. The history is very important to understand. Most New Age seek power, not knowledge. That's right. In a self empowerment that is not village oriented. Understand, you can't live in a village community and just be ego based. No one would have survived. These families would not have survived if we were only as ego based as we demonstrate in modern society, in the modern world. You had to think about the next person. You had to think about the next season. You had to think about the other people, because your very survival was contingent on it. Your very survival was dependent on it. Today, we have a sort of a me, myself, and I. We have a very individualized way of looking at the world and at ourselves. You know, it's just me. If I don't do it, nobody does it. It's a very Western thing. I have to worry about myself. I can't worry about the next person. You know, we were talking about living in big cities like Lagos and Nigeria, some friends of mine the other day, New York City, Chicago, and how those cities often, you know, get sort of branded as violent and negative to some degree from that criminal perspective. And we forget just the sheer volumes of people that exist, you know, in those cities who are trying to keep their lights on, trying to keep their heat on in the middle of winter, trying to keep their AC on in the middle of summer, just are trying to make it and live, and how limited time we really have to be organic, to be natural, to be in touch with nature as well as ourselves. So there's a clearly Western influence that fuels sort of the ego-based demonstration of religion and spirituality, and indeed witchcraft as we see it manifest in culture and in society today. And we don't like knowledge. We don't like truth. We don't like history, Black Cotton. That requires too much work. You know, that requires too much work. I remember when I was in junior high school, you didn't have no calculator. I mean, calculators weren't even a common thing that you could just buy back then readily for cheap. Maybe right around the 70s, calculators got cheaper and you started seeing them in the school kit, but then we weren't even allowed to use them. Today, you got your laptop, you got your device, you know, and of course, it introduces a whole nother level of instruction into the equation. But we were required to know how to operate within the Dewey Decimal System. We were required to know how to operate physically within a library. We were required to know how to navigate a thesaurus, a dictionary, an encyclopedia, you know, was a requirement. And today, it's at our fingertips in a Bing search, in a Yahoo search, in a Google search. And often what is coming up prominently at the top is what's most popular, what is most searched, what is most referenced, and it makes no clear distinction about what's most truthful. It makes no clear distinction about what's most authentic. Yes, artist April, thank you so much. The meek indeed shall inherit the earth. The ancestors see all. The ancestors see all. I absolutely agree. I'm going to move forward, you all, because my day is so full, overwhelmingly full. And I'm just really getting started good. I will be back again, of course, at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time with more revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans voodoo secrets and recipes with you here, live on many platforms. All is truly and indeed a blessing. If you will, I'm going to leave you with this and maybe a little bit of that, and all is a blessing. Ashe.
right here, yeah, right now, yeah. My Melabatu, yeah. My Melabatu, yeah. I have been down here for so long now. Been down here now for so long now. Been down here so long. Listen up closely. You can hear the rhythm, melodic though it is, set you free. Take it home, put it in the sea. You can grow to. I'm in the jungle where the jaguars go to. Falling off, into the road and back again. Lord, I know mercy, yeah. Shed a tear, can't complain. Life's so strange, how it is right here. I have been down here for so long now. Been down here now for so long now. Yeah. Right here, right now, what it is, my Melabatu, yeah. Gingerly spin ginger tea, trying to take away my pressures in life. And at an early age, I traveled to different places in different dimensions. I learned to read faces, slipping in, hard to come back sometimes when you let it go. Feel free, spread my wings, fly away home. I'm coming back again, yeah. Still standing up so strong. Shot out the windows in the 6-4, but the aim is all wrong. See, I'm still moving, still standing, breathing, giving thanks and praises. No matter who I down, no matter who I watch it. I have been down here for so long now. Been down here now for so long now. I'm gonna fly away over yonder. I'm gonna find a way, get myself up, get stronger. Face these days, the pain that I felt inflicted me so hard. Took 7 years to get myself back up from these boulevards. The scars that run so deep, you gotta shake it off. Say it wouldn't be complete if it wasn't so hard to work for. I know I've been in this life a mighty long time. At the crossroads now, and they feed it for my interests. Saturated with abundance, I found it in avalanches. I told the next nigga throw the Orishas are speaking English now through us. Saturated with abundance, I found it in avalanches. I told the next nigga throw the road. I have been down here for so long, so long. Now, been down here now for so long, so long. Now, throw the road. For so long, so long. Been down here for so long, so long. The Orishas now speak English.
I want to talk to you today about what is going on in the world now, and it really has to do with Babaluaye. We are in a pandemic now, and the Orisha that you hold, Ogun, you are Omo Ogun, you are beholden to clean yourself well, because there will be those that are attracted to you. One of your roads is the healer. Make sure that you are clean first.
I need to cleanse, you need to cleanse, we need to cleanse. He need to cleanse, she need to cleanse, they need to cleanse. I need to cleanse, you need to cleanse, we need to cleanse. She need to cleanse, he need to cleanse, they need to cleanse. Da 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 da, yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 Florida water, rose petals so divine. Dance for the ancestors, they bless us all the time. Burn out the sage, evil thing to quan. We're living in a serious time, uncareful all you quan. I need to cleanse, you need to cleanse, we need to cleanse. He need to cleanse, she need to cleanse, they need to cleanse. I need to cleanse, you need to cleanse, we need to cleanse. She need to cleanse, he need to cleanse, they need to cleanse. Da 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 da, yeah, yeah, yeah. Da 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 da, yeah, yeah, yeah. Da 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 da, yeah, yeah, yeah. Da 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 da, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Averikutu awaledi so. Averikutu awaledi so. Re Baba, Baba Luaye. Oh, Baba Luaye. Oh, Baba Luaye. Baba Luaye. Averikutu awaledi so. Averikutu awaledi so. Ore Baba, Baba Luaye. Oh, Baba Luaye. Oh, Baba Luaye. Baba Luaye.
I remember the spiritual past and the raw food fast. Looking at the man in the mirror, I was beautiful then. Time has come, it's time for a cleanse. Spiritual readings, Iri de Logun. Orishas are speaking, the foot of Ifa. I laid my sacrifice, tuning in. Claiming today is the first day of the rest of my life, and it's filled with blessings. I need to cleanse, you need to cleanse, we need to cleanse. You need to cleanse, she need to cleanse, they need to cleanse. I I need to cleanse, you need to cleanse, we need to cleanse. She need to cleanse, he need to cleanse, they need to cleanse. Da 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 da. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Da 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 da. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Da 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 da. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Da 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 da. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Talk to me nice, I get sensitive. Choice of your words to convey. Your intentions might mean the best, but it's in your approach and delivery. I get so through by my triggers, probably from niggas who thought that they own me. Really consider that I do, you do, we do good on our own. Back on my throne, like yeah, set me at my worst, like you do my best, better than I was last year. I've been facing tests, separate from the rest. Hope you're facing all your fears. I've been going so damn hard. It's been taking all this time. Giving up ain't in my blood. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. All in the signs. It's 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 all in the signs. I'm so nice, everybody's type. Eyes on the clock of my demise. To devolve into the quicksand. It's better on the cement. Telling no story, no power in your past. Even if you're 30, gotta make it last. I do, you do, we do good on our own. Back on my throne, like accept me at my worst, like you do my best, better than I was last year. I've been facing tests, separate from the rest. Hope you're facing all your fears. I've going so damn hard. It's been taking all this time. Giving up ain't in my blood. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. All in the signs. Signs. It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs. It's all coming It's all in the signs. It's all in the signs.